Hello, guys. I am Lola. To start off, let me tell you that I never had a good relationship with my parents, Denny and Greg. They always favored my older sister, Lucy. I can't say for sure why they did it, but I guess we will never know. What I can tell you is that she has always been the golden child while I have been the scapegoat. Throughout my life, I have been ignored and neglected while they showered Lucy with love, attention, and gifts. I grew up very neglected and almost didn't have a relationship with them. Lucy also hated me for some reason, although I think things got worse due to my parents' blatant favoritism. We fought a lot, and it was I who was mostly punished because apparently it's wrong to argue with someone's big sister. Anyway, my relationship with my parents only got better after I left home for college. I stayed at the dorm since my college was in the next city. The distance made my relationship with my parents somewhat better, but Lucy and I were always at odds. She took every opportunity to insult, humiliate, and embarrass me. She got particularly nastier after getting engaged to her rich banker fiancé. I have met the guy multiple times and must say that he's a very good man. I am not sure what he ever saw in my sister. Lucy genuinely looked happy around him, so I was happy for them. The real trouble began with their wedding planning. Keith and our parents were paying for the wedding because Lucy didn't work and didn't want to either. However, this woman sure did have a mountain of demands for the wedding. The amount of money that everyone was spending was just downright ridiculous. Keith and our parents were super happy to pay the bills, but she just kept asking for more. 2 weeks before the wedding, she threw a tantrum because she wanted to buy an expensive diamond necklace. When no one refused to pay for it, she ended up stealing one of her fiancé's collected watches and selling it for money. How did I find out? Well, she stole the thing right in front of me. Guys, believe me, I begged her and yelled at her to return the watch. We were having dinner at Keith's house, so I didn't want to make a scene. So I took her aside and begged her to return the watch before Keith found out. She just huffed and said that everything he owns is also hers, so she won't be returning it. Well, guess what? 3 days later, she came crying to my parents and me because Keith had been thinking about calling the cops to find the thief. Apparently, his cook saw me and her exiting his room that day, and Lucy thought she would sell her out. She cried and said, "What do I do now?" I didn't realize that the watch was his grandfather's old watch. He is going crazy over it. He will definitely call the cops, and then I will be caught. You should come clean to him, Lucy. What you did was wrong. You will have better chances if you confess now. If I tell him that I stole his watch, he will break up with me and end our engagement. He definitely wouldn't marry me. No, we can't let that happen. That is not going to happen. You two are getting married, but what will I do, Dad? Keith is already snooping, and he knows that Lola and I were the last ones to go into the room. Well then, it looks like there is only one way we can make things right. Well, what do you have in mind, Dad? You have to take the fall for the theft, Lola. That's the only solution we have right now. I was completely taken aback by what my father said. I looked at him in horror as his words set into my brain. Still, somehow my brain refused to accept that my father was actually asking me to take the fall for my stupid sister's stealing habit. I couldn't believe that's what my father had said. Wait, well, what? What do you want me to do? You heard me, Lola. You need to take the fall for the theft. Keith will know that you are the one who stole that watch. Are you out of your mind, Dad? Why would I do that? Because I am asking you to, Lila. Actually, scratch that. I am telling you that this is what you will do. And I am telling you that I won't do this. I value my reputation and won't have anyone think that I am a thief. It's not a big deal, Lola. Keith and his family don't know you that well anyway. We will handle our side of the family. They will always forgive you since they are family. It won't be a problem at all. No, absolutely not, Dad. I don't care what you say. I will not take the fall for something Lucy did. Mom, are you hearing all this? Why are you quiet? Please, say something. I turned to my mother, thinking that at least she would agree with me. I was really hoping that my father had lost his mind and my mother would help me talk some sense into him. But I had no such luck. One look at my mom's face said that she wasn't going to protest. She simply shrugged and said, "What do you want me to say, Lola? your father has some good points. Are you really okay with this? Are you okay with them asking me to take the blame for Lucy's actions? We made a joint decision, Lola. There is nothing new for me to say. We all want you to take the blame for stealing the watch, Lola. Wait, so the three of you had a secret meeting and already decided everything? All three of you decided that I would be the sacrificial lamb? Oh God, Lola, don't be so dramatic. We are not asking you to kill someone or something. It's a very small thing. I started to laugh when my mother said that this was a small thing. Make no mistake, guys, I didn't find this funny or even mildly amusing. I was actually laughing bitterly at the situation. So apparently this was a small situation, but still, my parents didn't want their golden child to take the blame. I was laughing at the absurdity of it all. My parents also knew that their demands were absurd. I mean, anyone would know that. But for some reason, they looked offended when I laughed. My mom said, "Why are you laughing, Lola? What else do you want me to do, Mom? The three of you ganged up on me, and now you are all acting like it's not a big deal." It is not a big deal, Lola. As I said, it is a very small issue. Ooh, this is a small thing, right, Mom? Then let the real culprit take the blame, as she rightfully should. We can't do that, Lola. Keith will for sure break up with her if she comes clean. The man doesn't tolerate disrespect. Lucy should have known better, but what can be done? She made a mistake like everyone else. That's all. Well, none of this is my fault, so I don't understand why I'm the one being the scapegoat. Because you are not the one marrying a rich man. Lucy has worked so hard to find a good man and finally help us raise our status. We can't let this golden opportunity go to waste. I see, Dad. I am the scapegoat so that you three can have a good life while enjoying the wealth and status that comes with Lucy marrying Keith. Just wow, guys. I really didn't know you guys loved me so much. I am so proud to have such good parents. Enough with the sarcasm, Lola. You will not speak to us this way. You will do what we say and shut your mouth. No, I will not do as you say. You are acting like a spoiled brat, Lola. Your sister is in trouble, so this is the least you can do as a family. Oh, I am the spoiled brat? How about the actual thief who stole from her fiancé to buy a stupid necklace? My parents had the audacity to look shocked. Yeah, they simply cannot hear anyone, let alone me, criticize their golden child. After all, she was their ticket to riches. So when I pointed the finger at Lucy and showed them their hypocrisy, they were super offended. And they weren't the only ones offended, guys. My sister, who was silent all this whole time, finally spoke up. No, she didn't offend me, of course. I didn't expect it anyway, but the sheer anger and venom in her voice unsettled me. She yelled at me and said, "How dare you talk about me like that, Lola? You are being such a brat. I am older than you, so I will not have you disrespect me. You lost my respect the moment you stole that watch and didn't give it back to Keith. You should have listened to me and done it. You are no one to tell me what to do. He is my fiance, so I will do whatever I want with his stuff. Then you can suffer the consequences for that too, Lucy. You need to take accountability for what you did, Lucy. Maybe have some shame for once, since your entitlement is turning you into a criminal." Lucy started to cry when I said that. Nope, she wasn't sad that I called her a criminal. She simply didn't have a comeback, so she turned on the waterworks. They were not for me, of course. They were for our parents. I would never believe her fake tears. She did them all the time for sympathy. But my parents rushed to her side and comforted her immediately. They never learn, or maybe they refuse to acknowledge it. Anyway, my parents suddenly grew extremely mad at me and said, "Look at this, Lola. Look at what you have done. You have made your poor sister cry. Mom, I only wanted one nice thing for my wedding. But now I am being called such horrible names. Honey, your sister is stupid and jealous. She is just speaking out of jealousy. My angel can never be a criminal. But Keith won't see it this way, Mom. I don't know what he will do. Lola doesn't want to save me. She wants my engagement to end. Looks like she is going to get it. I will have to confess, and then Keith will leave me." Oh, sweetheart, don't cry. Keith really should have let it go. He is not being fair. But Don't worry, we won't let you suffer. You won't have to tell Keith anything. Lola will take the fall for you, as we agreed. I already said that I won't do it, Dad. You will do it, or else I will stop paying for your college, and I will disown you as well. Yes, my father threatened to withdraw my college fund if I didn't take the fall for my sister. I don't know how some parents can be so mean and cruel to their child. It was like I meant nothing to them. That college fund was the only good gift my parents had given me after ignoring and neglecting me on every other occasion. I had thought that maybe there was some hope for me to mend my relationship with my parents. That day, I lost all my hope. They were holding my college fund above my head so that I would take the blame for my sister's actions. I was speechless and had tears in my eyes. My voice shook as I said, "What? You will take away my college fund?" Yes, that's exactly what I will do. I don't want to pay for my ungrateful daughter who cares nothing about the family. And you care about me, what about my reputation? Your reputation will be fine. It is a family issue anyway. Your sister's wedding is more important. Even if I agree to this, Keith can still call the cops on me. That will get me kicked out of college. There won't be any cops involved. After you confess, your sister will convince her husband to forgive you. He loves her, so this will be easy. Everything will go back to normal after the wedding. But Dad, this is unfair. Well, it doesn't matter. Either you will take the fall for this, or we are going to withdraw your college fund. My parents were adamant about me taking the blame for Lucy. I begged and cried with them. I did everything possible to make them change their mind, but I should have known that I was fighting a losing battle. No matter how much I pleaded with them, they weren't budging. My new semester was just around the corner, so I needed a fair bit of money to pay the college fees. It was impossible for me to get that much money in a few days. I tried looking into that option too, but nothing came out of it. I was tense and cried all day. The situation was worse at home, and everyone kept pressuring me to do what they wanted. The next day, I woke up and found Keith in the house. He was gathered around with my parents while they were looking down. Lucy didn't look upset at all, so I immediately knew what they had done. They had called Keith and already told him that I was the thief. I was in near tears just thinking about the humiliation I was about to face. My parents started to attack me as soon as they saw me. They said, "I am so ashamed of you, Lola. How could you even think about stealing? You told Keith that I took the watch? We couldn't hide the truth from him, Lola. What you did was wrong, and we needed to do the right thing in telling Keith." Wow. You should be so ashamed of yourself, Lola. You literally stole from someone who will be our family soon. Who knows what he is thinking about me now? He probably thinks that I come from a family of cheaters. You need to calm down, Lucy. I literally haven't said anything to anyone. But, I know what you are thinking, Keith. You must hate us right now. All this because of my sister. I am so ashamed of having a sister like her. Lucy started to cry, and again, I could tell they were fake tears. Like I said, I am an expert at spotting them now. The tears were likely to make Keith feel sorry for her and comfort her. It was pathetic to see her fake her emotions to manipulate her fiancé. Keith, too, looked super uncomfortable when Lucy started to cry out of the blue. He looked a little startled, but then he did something that I will give him credit for. He looked at me and asked me in a soft tone, "Did you really take my watch, Lola? Tell me the truth. You don't have to be scared of me." I am sorry, Keith. Oh God, Lola, can you at least return it to me now? That was my late grandfather's watch, so it has a lot of sentimental value attached to it. I won't give you trouble. I just want the watch back. I am sorry to say this, but she already sold it somewhere. She wanted some clothes, so she stole your collectible watch and sold it. God, I am so ashamed of her right now. My parents swooped in and started to talk on my behalf. They also kept criticizing me and telling me what a shame I was to the family. I couldn't even say anything in my defense. I was numb after hearing and seeing what they did. They really did sacrifice me for their golden child again. The humiliation and the realization that my parents would never love me cut through my heart. I cried my eyes out as my parents and sister berated me. Keith was mostly silent all this while and didn't say much. He also didn't shout at me or anything. He simply turned around and left after a few minutes. I left soon after because I didn't want to be around my family anymore. No one called me or reached out to me. I didn't receive one phone call from my parents admitting they're wrong or at least acknowledging that they did wrong. Yes, they paid for my college as usual, but that was it. No one checked in on me even once. I was a crying mess the entire time. I missed a few on my first day because I didn't have the energy to be out and about. I had been mentally drained and didn't even want to get out of bed every morning. I had also decided that I would probably skip Lucy's wedding. Then I started to dread my family's reaction if I didn't show up. I really didn't want to see my parents and sister again, so being at the wedding was really weighing on me. The wedding day got even closer, and still there wasn't a peep from my parents. I was still a mess mentally and didn't know what to do. Then, 2 days before the wedding, I got an unexpected call from Keith asking to meet. I was a little confused about why he was calling me. I was also scared that he would call the cops on me, so I immediately agreed to meet him. I was very scared, but knew that I needed to talk to Keith. When I reached the cafe to meet him, I saw that Keith actually looked very upset. He didn't look like himself, and I could tell that something was bothering me. I hesitantly approached him and sat down. Then I said, Is this about the watch, Keith? Yeah, I am afraid this is about the watch, Lola. Are you going to report me to the police? What? No, why will I do that? Because I stole it and then sold it. You must be very mad at me. I am angry and upset, but not at you, Lola. And why would I call the cops on you when you are not the one who stole the watch? I was a little surprised when Keith said that he knew I wasn't the thief. I had a moment of hope, thinking that maybe my parents had come clean and told him the truth. But I knew better than to believe that wishful thinking of mine. So all I could do was stare at Keith with my mouth open. Keith smiled a little at my expression, but it was a sad one. He then said, I know that you aren't the thief, Lola, but my family told you that I am. Yes, your family did throw you under the bus, which was really disturbing, but I know they lied. I knew something was fishy the moment I was in your house. Your reaction didn't make much sense either. Didn't my sister convince you enough that I was the thief? I am sure the three of them sat you down and told you how horrible I am and how much they are ashamed of me, that they did, Lola, but no matter what they said, I couldn't shake off the feeling of doubt. I know you, Lola. You're not the kind of girl to steal. And for you to accidentally find my watch collection while in your sister's company was a little doubtful. Oh, I see. Well, thank you for believing in me, Keith. I don't know what to say. The fact that Keith had been more concerned for me than my own parents really made me cry again. He didn't believe my parents' words and used his own judgment to ask questions about what happened. I was happy that at least he had stopped to think that I may be innocent. It really warmed my heart. But my parents' indifference toward my humiliation really made me cry. While I was crying, Keith said, I really need to ask you something, Lola. Why did you take the blame, Lola? My parents threatened to stop paying for college. My fees were due within 3 days. It was impossible for me to get the money. They sort of ambushed me in the morning. They didn't even wait for me to agree. They just called you over and told you. And your sister was okay with this? Did she at least protest? No, she didn't protest. She was on their side, actually. The three of them came up with the decision to put the blame on me. Wow. I am speechless. I had no idea I was in love with such a cruel woman. Why would they do it? Why lie to me like that? They were afraid that you would cancel the wedding if you found out the truth. The truth, as in Lucy being the one to steal the watch, right? I didn't have to say anything to implicate my sister. Keith told me that he already knew that my sister was the thief. I had no idea about how he had found out. I didn't get any calls or texts from my family, so I wasn't sure what happened. So I said, wait, you know that? Yes, I know that as well, Lola. How? How did you find out? I searched every pawn shop in the city to try and find my watch. Finally, I found it in one place. I told them the whole story, and they told me who came in to sell the watch. It's all on their CTV. Oh my God, Keith. I'm so glad you got the watch back. I was really feeling bad for you. I hate what Lucy did, Keith. I tried hard to make her give it back. I know, Lola. I pulled the CCTV footage of the hallways. I heard all the conversations between you and Lucy. I even have the recording with me. Keith showed me the footage he had for proof. He had copies of the security footage at the pawn shop and the house. In the security footage, it clearly showed that Lucy was the one who sold the watch. In his house, we could be heard arguing as I told Lucy to put the watch back. All of it was as clear as day. After watching the evidence, I said, "So what do you want to do now? I have been thinking about things. Are you going to go through with the wedding?" "Of course not, Lola. I can't be with a woman like this." "Yes, I still love her in some sense, but what she did wasn't okay. This issue is way more than a watch." "Lola, what do you mean?" Keith, she could have literally taken the watch any day she wanted, but she specifically chose the day when you and your family came to my place. I guess her plan always had been to shift the blame on you. Oh God, Keith, I never thought of it this way. Yeah, this was all intentional. My mind was reeling with this new theory. Yes, it did make sense why she decided to steal on the day I went to the house. She had taken me for a house tour for no reason. We are not close and never have been. I even remember how uncomfortable and confused I was when she asked me to go explore with her. I didn't want to be rude in front of Keith, so I didn't make a fuss. Lola actually only took me to the closet where she proceeded to steal the watch and leave. Keith was right. Lucy had done this on purpose. I was boiling with anger and betrayal. I said, "Oh my God, how could I have been so stupid? I should have seen this trap." Well, I feel stupid too, She literally used me as a scapegoat. And now she will walk away unscathed after everything. No, Lola. That isn't going to happen. I won't let that happen. Lucy and your parents will pay for this. What are you gonna do, Keith? I have something interesting planned for our rehearsal dinner tomorrow, Lola. I will tell you what. But before that, there is something I need to know. Are you ready for the big reveal? You can bet all your money that I said yes to that. I wanted Keith to teach my sister and parents a lesson. After that day, I had already made up my mind that I was no longer going to keep in touch with those people. They needed to be exposed, and people needed to see what they were. Anyway, Keith and I discussed our plans and left for our houses. I didn't have to do anything at all. I simply needed to show up. The next morning, I got a text from my parents telling me to attend the rehearsal and keep my mouth shut. There were threats made to drive home that they could still revoke my college fund. Unfortunately for them, it wasn't going to work anymore. I didn't bother giving them a reply. I simply showed up at the rehearsal and looked like a star. I made sure to take extra care to get ready because boy, was it my way. My parents and sister saw me but didn't get a chance to corner me because of the other guests. I didn't bother talking to anyone anyway. I simply sat in the corner and waited for the show. The real fun began when Keith took the mic from the main stage and told everyone that he had a surprise for us. Everyone was excited until he put on a straight face and told them that the wedding wasn't happening. Everyone gasped except me. My parents looked like they heard about someone's death, while Lucy was ready to faint. She almost yelled at Keith, saying, "What kind of a sick joke is this, Keith? Why would you make a prank about our wedding? Do you really think that I am immature and shallow? Do I look like someone who pranks people? Well, you can't be serious about what you said." Why would you even call off the wedding without any reason? Ooh, I have a pretty good reason to cancel the wedding. Why, Keith? What did I do? Why are you doing this? Did you forget about the fact that you stole my grandfather's collectible watch and you sold it for some jewelry that I specifically told you that I won't buy for you? The look on Lucy's face was absolutely priceless. She was a little stunned and scared, but didn't want to have that expression so that she didn't look guilty. She tried very hard to hide her nerves as she said, "What? What are you talking about, Keith? I didn't steal anything. It was my stupid sister who stole your watch, right, Daddy?" Yes, Keith, my son. We already talked about this. Lola is the one who stole the watch. She even confessed to you. Yeah, we all were there when Lola confessed. Why are you blaming my poor Lucy for this? Well, Lola confessed because you threatened to stop paying for her college. She confessed because the three of you pressured her into taking the fall. How can you accuse us of this, Keith? We would never do anything like that. Lola is for sure feeding you lies about us. She is jealous of me and wants to ruin my chances at happiness, Keith. You can believe her words. Don't you dare blame Lola for this, Lucy. She didn't tell me anything. I found out on my own. Want to see how? Here it is. Keith instructed someone to play the recordings he had saved. There was a big projector and screen at the venue, which was placed on Keith's request. He had planned to show everyone what a lying thief my sister was. The video played, and it was clear what had happened. Lucy looked absolutely horrified when she saw herself in that footage. The entire place was filled with whispers, and some were outright calling her a thief. My parents were trying to avoid questions and looked at the floor. Suddenly, Lucy started to cry hysterically and asked Keith to forgive her. In her desperate attempt to get him back, she confessed to everything. She thought that would help her case. Well, it didn't help her at all. Keith made his decision clear and walked out of the venue. I followed him because I had no intention of staying back for the fallout. Lucy and my parents followed us both and tried to stop us. But Keith threatened to call the cops on them if they dared to touch us or stop us from leaving. That gave me the chance to leave before things got worse. Now, I will tell you how Lucy and my parents got some more karma. Buckle up because this is good. Keith broke off their relationship and not just canceled the wedding. He told her in no uncertain terms that they were over. My sister tried to cry her way out of it and even accused Keith of having feelings for me. Yeah, that was super embarrassing. Anyway, Keith never indulged in her erratic behavior at all. He told her that she needed to pay back all the money that she got after selling the watch. Lucy tried to protest, but Keith threatened to call the cops on her. So she relented and sold her necklace to pay him back. My parents also had a big fallout with my sister. She has moved back home and is still living with them. The reason they had a fallout was that suddenly my parents started to blame Lucy for the theft. They were extremely unhappy that they lost practically 70% of their savings on a wedding that didn't happen. They were mad that Lucy jinxed her chances with Keith, and now there was no hope of recovering the lost money. How did I know about this? Well, my parents had and still are trying to talk to me. I had them both blocked and instructed the security at my dorm and university to not let my parents meet me. They thankfully didn't try anything, but that didn't stop them from texting and calling me. My parents have been begging me to talk because they knew I was their hope now. My sister didn't work and showed no signs of helping them raise their status, so they finally turned their attention to me because the prospects of a college-educated woman are way better than that of a lazy woman in her mid-20s. You can be sure that I told them to kick rocks and not to contact me again. They tried threatening me with college funds again, but I informed them that Keith had already taken care of it as a good gesture before he left the family for good. So I got my college paid for, and Keith got away without having to marry an entitled psycho like my sister. As for my parents and sister, they are getting what they deserve.